Hey, welcome to the Northeast Hunt and Film podcast. I'm your host, Jason Alex. Here you'll find hunting stories and strategies based mainly out of the Northeast, but will also include hunts from all around the country. If you can hunt it and you can film it, chances are we're going to talk about it on here. Enjoy. All right, we're back live. Another episode of Northeast Hunt and Film. Here with a bonus episode. We got a relatively fresh kill. It's 4 days now?
Yeah.
You shot him Friday?
Yeah, shot him Friday morning. Yeah.
Jeremy shot a nice buck in Jersey. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and probably some hunting around here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of an annual trip. We've been going down there for 7-8 years now, down to Jersey, public land, kind of up in the northern corner, and a lot of security cover, a lot of food. Down along the rivers, it's all agriculture. They got some soybeans growing down there, and sometimes it's corn. They go back and forth, but talked to a warden when I was out there, and they're going to stop doing the corn because the bears are raising hell with the corn whenever they put the corn there. So pretty much going to stick with soybeans. And
do you get a bear tag down there?
The bear season was in December, but now it's shut down. The new governor
Really?
just shut the bear season back down again.
Oh, are they like bears are cuddly creatures and we can't kill them type of deal?
That state's terrible. Jeez. I only saw 3 bears on this trip, but all the years...
So they're overrun.
Yeah, the years previous we'd see 12, 15, and that's staying away from the corn, trying to not see bears. There's a lot of bears down there. So, but what I like about it is it's very similar to the land that I hunt in Mass. There's really steep oak ridges and a lot of security cover, and you go down this time of the year, the deer respond really well to calling, and they're making scrapes everywhere, rubs. They're running scrape lines. We got a lot of pictures of bucks cruising noon to 1 o'clock, running scrapes all hours of the day. So we had some good time. It was hard finding. So I only found a couple good bucks, that were 3.5 years old and older. But I had this one really good ridgetop spot, and it was 1.25 miles from where I parked the truck. That's actually where I ended up killing the deer. I went in there, hung a camera in there the first day that I was there. There was some sign, not as many acorns as I like, but there was a good scrape line coming through there. Well, the weather turned to rain, and then we had that storm coming in off the coast, so all we had was an east or a southeast wind, and it's the one direction I can't hunt that stand. So I had to wait until Friday, the second to last day of the trip, to hike in there and hunt that stand. And I passed a couple small bucks. A few of the other guys shot small bucks and some does and stuff, but we didn't really see any of the big deer on their feet because of that terrible south and east wind, and it was kind of warm. So that last morning I knew it had to happen. It was upper 30s, 40 degrees, and it was going to be that way all day. So got up super early, left the camp, and probably about an hour earlier than I normally would, and got to the parking spot and headed up in, had all my clothes on my back I had a small, one of those 0.5 Lone Wolf custom gear stands.
Yeah.
Tiny little stand, and my sticks just went really light, but I planned on staying there all day if that's what it took. I knew that saddle, I'd have a buck cruising through there. We finally got a wind that was kind of out of the northwest, and that's what we needed. And hiked all that in the dark, got up into that saddle, set up the stand. I stood there in the tree for 45 minutes of dark. Finally started to get light enough, so I stood up. I'm like, all right, I can shoot. Shooting light, it's going to happen now. Just now I'm ready. Man, it wasn't 20 minutes after shooting light. I looked to my left, right down the finger that's coming from the cover where I'm expecting deer to come from my left, going to my right. I look down, I can see the top of a tree just shaking and thrashing back and forth, and there's no wind. That's the only tree doing it. I'm like, That's a buck making a rub right there. And he's 65 yards from me at most. And I can see that tree just, shaking back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, that tree's pretty good size too. I mean, that's a good buck doing that rub. pretty soon then you could hear him stop making the rub. You could hear him paw, making a scrape. And then it was silent. And then I could hear him walking. And I got the bow all ready, and the finger drops off really steep, and the deer was just out of sight when he was making those scrapes and that rub. And I'm looking and looking. I can hear him walking, and I'm just like waiting for him to pop into view. He comes up onto that finger, and he's less than 20 yards. He's 15 yards head on and comes right almost to the base of my tree, 8 yards. And I'm like, man, he's going to hit where I walked in. I've never seen a deer use the finger the way he did, but he was just using the leeward side of that finger is what he was doing. And I was set on the leeward side as far as I could find a tree. And he almost caught me. He almost got to where I walked in. He was just about at the point of where I walked in. He turned and he kind of there was a bowl right there, and he walked right along the top of that bowl straight away from me. And I'm drawn back and I'm finding a hole. He walks into it. He stops and he's almost straight away, and I sunk it right at the last rib, right up to the fletch. And he bolted off down the hill. I see him run about 50, 60 yards, and man, he just stopped, and he's standing down there, and I can see the arrow in him right up to the fletch. I'm like, that's a dead deer. And just as I thought that, he just did that sideways step real fast, done. All four legs doing that fast sideways shuffle right out of sight, and then crash. He was right there dead. I mean, I got out of the stand, and I went to where he was standing, and I could see his white belly down there. And what a buck, though. I mean, he's got great tines. He's a big 8-pointer. I would say he's a 4 or 5 year old deer plus. He's a big body on him for Jersey. He was 180 pound range, I would say.
Oh yeah.
But what a fun hunt. And then a mile and a quarter drag out. That was always fun too. But that part of the state's a lot of fun. There's some really good bucks down there, but I think if I was to stay into November, I would really start seeing the bigger ones start to come out of the woodwork once you get to colder weather, because they've got a lot of the security cover down there is just incredible compared to anywhere else I've hunted. It's just there's river bottoms down there that are just super thick. Everything is there for a deer to get some age on him. He's got tons of food, and he's got tons of cover. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good place to go hunt, and then I come back and I'm hunting back home pretty serious after that. But it's
so the leeward side, that's meaning he's not going to walk the tip of the finger.
Yeah, he's going
to be on the whatever side the wind is in his favor.
Yeah, and like just over the crest of that finger. So I mean, you could barely see him. Yeah. Just so he could see onto the top of that finger. It's just the way he used the terrain was really cool. Yeah. And that was as far down as I could find a tree without starting to lose elevation on that finger. And I just happened to, I was in the right tree. If I'd have been up the hill a little bit more, I don't know if I probably would have still got a shot at him, but I wouldn't have wanted to have been down anymore, because I hate losing elevation and then having to climb higher in the tree to get, I hate having them walk along that side hill and they're even with you. You can't get away with anything, all the leaves are off the trees down there now. So
can't so much as blink.
Yeah, especially with a deer like that, you're not going to get away with anything.
Was there a point where you saw that tree going and you could hear him making a scrape? Was there a point where you thought about grunting to him, or you're just like,
oh, absolutely,
I know he's going to work down this way? And
absolutely, yeah. The way I look at it when that's going on is I don't dare call until I know the deer is walking away from me. If I think that deer is still coming towards me, or he's just standing still or whatever, I'm not going to call to that deer until I know he's not going to come to me on natural movement. That's the only time I'm going to call to him. That's the only time I feel like I need to call to a deer. A lot of times if your setup's right, he's going to walk by just on natural movement. But I keep the calls in my vest just as that's my insurance policy. If he's not coming, if he's not going to walk to me, I'm going to try to get him to walk to me. So I use calls very sparingly, but man, they work really good that time of the year. But you can get pegged.
Yeah.
That's.
But if he's walking away, you've got nothing to lose.
You've got to try it. Yeah. And usually it works, especially, late October, early November. That's what they're looking for, is other deer. They want to figure out their pecking order, and
That would be hard for me, being more or less a rookie about it, is seeing that tree like, I'm going to throw a grunt at him.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, if
but
you threw a grunt at him, and then he's going to be coming up onto that finger looking for a deer.
Right.
And it was kind of open hardwoods in that saddle, but everywhere around it is super thick. So that's another thing to consider. I like to have either a bank dropping off behind my stand or be set up where there's a big blowdown or a thicket at the base of my tree. If I'm going to call to a deer, if it's wide open, if it's wide open underneath your tree and you keep calling to a deer and he can look over there and he doesn't see a deer, it's going to spook him.
Right.
They know they should be seeing a deer. But if they think they can walk just a little bit further, oh, he's just around that blowdown or he's just down over that bank, that to have the right setup for calling helps too. But in that situation, I was just planning that saddle's been really good to me. The last time that I sat in that saddle, I killed a 130-inch buck. It's just a really good saddle for movement, and it was pretty much the same. I'm trying to think. It was pretty much the same day, the same part of October. That's like a magical part of that saddle working. Is the very last couple days of October. It seems like that's when we get the cold snap and we start to get that good wind, and that's when I have to hunt that stand. And it's all about staying out of there when the wind's not good.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of other spots that I could hop to, and there were new spots that I was scouting out and hunting and stuff. But there's only so much. It's amazing. There's only so much you can do with that south and east wind. It really screws up a ton of spots. So I really need that. I really need that wind out of the west and the north. Just especially the way the ridges run north and south there too. So it's nice to have a north or a west wind. Just the way that everything lays out, most of my setups require that kind of a wind. And usually when you have a south wind, it's a warm trend.
Yeah.
And that warm weather just shut them right down.
Yeah, the storms were hitting the coast.
Yep.
So the bear plague in Jersey. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's gotten a lot better. Years previous when we were down there, that like I said, they'd plant corn or soybean down along the river, and most of the time it'd be corn. There were so many bears down there that you could drive on the road that goes along the cornfields, and you could look down the rows, and you could just see bears bedded in that cornfield. It was just absolutely crazy. There's one clip of video footage I got from a cornfield that was just been cut, and you could see 8 bears out there eating corn at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 8 different bears, all spread all throughout the field. Like, it was crazy.
That's insane.
And we try to avoid them by not hunting anywhere near the river bottoms, anywhere near the corn. And we'd still, between all of us in camp, 5 or 6 of us, everyone would see at least a dozen bears in a week. Sows with 3 or 4 cubs, big, gigantic boars that were like 500 plus pounds.
Yeah, they shoot some
everything in
giant
between.
bears.
Oh, they shoot some monsters. When they had that season going, they were shooting them over 600, 700 pounds every year. They were just getting big. I think the state record was a New Jersey bear, but I think it was shot over in PA, and it was well over 800 dressed weight. I mean, it's like absolutely ridiculous for a black bear to be that big. So they were out of control, and then they had a fall archery season, because before the only season I believe was in December, and it was a draw. And then they had, I don't know if it was an over-the-counter or a draw, because I didn't apply for it or get much interest in it, but it was in early October, archery season for bears. And, they got antis, like,
I imagine,
protesting everywhere. And whenever they have a bear season, there's people there that are just trying to shoot a bear, and they're shooting bears that are 40 pounds all the way up to 600 pounds, everything in between. So that's what stirs so much controversy, is when they go to the reporting stations, the news crew they don't go to the biggest bears.
No, they go to the cub.
They go to whoever's shooting the tiny little dink bears. That's how they push the narrative of we need to end the bear season. But after they did that archery season, it seemed to really cut the population down. I only saw 3 bears this whole week, and I saw very little bear sign. So it's kind of normal. That's how it should be. But it was kind of, you'd be walking out at night and you'd hear a bear take off and woofing at you. You don't know if it's a sow with cubs, or I had a couple sketchy encounters with sows with cubs around cornfields, so I just stopped hunting anywhere around the cornfields.
Yep.
It just wasn't worth it. I just stuck to the oak ridges and saw a lot less bears. But this governor that's in there now in New Jersey, he's shut down bear hunting, so I don't know how long that's going to last, but the population will rebound really good because the habitat's so awesome. So we'll see what it does. But
Well, like you said, we were talking earlier, saying like, unfortunately, it's going to take some sort of like unfortunate incident,
yeah,
where somebody's kid or like somebody's dog or something, and they're going to go, oh, there's too many bears. How do we get rid of them?
Absolutely.
Oh, hunters.
Yep.
Hunters help keep population numbers under control. Who'd have known?
Yeah. That's what it's going to do. It's just going to be an up and down spike type cycle. Bear population is going to go way above carrying capacity, and then they're going to do a season. It's going to drop way down to at carrying capacity, and then they're going to shut the season down. I imagine it's just going to go back and forth. But who knows? They may have a handle on it now by not doing any more corn. Then maybe the bears will stay over in PA because they're planting tons of corn in PA.
Yeah.
And there's huge bears in Pennsylvania. So
there's more room there too.
Yeah.
New Jersey's like, you could fit like 15 of them inside Pennsylvania.
Yeah. The New Jersey bears, there's a lot more small game hunters now too. And I don't know if all that activity had anything to do with pushing a lot of the bears out, but you get all those small game hunters around those soybean fields now because they never walked into the cornfields. They didn't walk into those standing cornfields all that much because there were so many bears in there. I don't think anyone dared take their dog in there. So now with the soybean fields, though, the bottom lands are now full of bird hunters. So all the more reason to stay away from the river bottoms and the crop fields. But those deer are hammering that stuff at night. So you get the deer are getting some really good feed. So I may go back down in the winter bow season in January. I think there'll be a lot less hunters down there. Maybe do some late season bow hunting. We'll see how everything goes. But it's a fun place. It's a good spot to go over the counter. And I've shot 4 Pope and Young bucks down there on public land. So
now, do they have a lot of public land, like
tons,
similar to Mass? Like Mass has quite a bit of state and
There's a lot of public land, both state and federal down there.
Yeah.
Wildlife management areas. You can hunt on Sundays.
Yeah.
The state really has a lot to offer.
So northern Jersey probably gets the Mass hunters.
Yeah.
Kind of like southern Vermont and New Hampshire on Sundays.
A lot of Pennsylvania hunters are coming over there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they got 2 Sunday states connecting them.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But you can you can hunt private land in Jersey on Sundays too, I think. So I think that you just can't hunt any of the public on Sundays unless it's a wildlife management area. So it's a state wildlife management area. But a lot of times on Sundays, the wildlife management areas are full of bird hunters and small game guys running rabbits and stuff. So there's just a lot of game in that state. It's really cool. It's overlooked, and everyone thinks going to New Jersey, everyone thinks you're hunting in somebody's backyard. It's not the case. I'm hunting on oak ridges. Like I said, I parked and I'm walking 1.25 miles from the truck to hang a stand. I'm walking through woods the entire way. Yeah, it's like hunting Western Mass. Big steep ridges, tons of security cover. It's a lot of fun.
Does their public lands have a lot of hiking trails through it?
They've got a few. A couple areas got hiking trails, but I never see anybody out hiking.
Yep.
The
hunters use those too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you might be 1.25 miles from the truck, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not 1.25 miles from everything.
Right.
but the proper way to walk into it. It's a big piece of woods, big long ridge running all the way down the Delaware River. So,
because I like using those as my way in, because they're used to scent coming from those trails.
Yeah, won't bother them a bit if they smell where you walked, as long as you're in that trail. Yeah.
I try to walk further than I think, most people will walk, but
oh, absolutely.
I'll see a camera or something and go, yeah, that guy's hardcore too. I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's willing to walk this far.
Yeah.
I'll share the woods
those are
with him.
usually the guys you don't have to worry about. They're in there hunting too, and there's plenty of room for everybody. So, and a lot of those guys are locals, so they're just picking their days when it's really good weather. We're down there for a week straight, so
yeah, you just
we got to just adapt with whatever we get thrown at us. Some trips we've had good weather the entire time. Some trips it's the best day of the trip was the last day, like this year. That was the best weather we had the entire trip, the last day. And you never know. That's why you don't shoot something small that you're going to regret. It's always good to have that buck tag, and it only takes a second, and then boom, he shows up.
You only get one buck tag?
When we went down this year, we didn't schedule it for the split season, but there is a split season right in the beginning of November where you can hunt and a lot of times we would overlap our stay. So then you could hunt 3 or 4 days, and then you get 3 or 4 days of the fall bow, and then it would switch over to permit bow, and you could get another buck and a doe tag. That worked out pretty good. But this year we were just the only house that we could get to rent was a little earlier, so we weren't able to get that split season. Plus, I wanted to get back here to Mass anyway, so it worked out good for me. So.
Do they got a gun season down there? Is it like shotgun like Mass?
Yeah, shotgun. I'm not sure when that opens. I think it's
probably pretty late.
Yeah, I think it's towards the end of November. I think it's post-rut, just like Mass.
Yep.
Yeah. But they hardly ever get any snow down there. So those, those bears, that was the thing. The bears never hibernated. The bears were hitting those cornfields all whenever the weather was nice. They were like never really hibernating, so they were just putting the food right on. They were just eating all the time, acorns and corn. But now that it's soybean, I think it'll be better for the deer. So.
Yeah, a lot more nutrients in corn.
Absolutely.
Corn's got nothing.
Yeah, corn's all carbohydrates, so the soybeans are good protein. I think it'll help with antler growth, especially. They're eating those all August. So, it's a lot of fun. And getting back here to Mass, I sat this morning. I had a couple does come through. Textbook, exactly how they're supposed to be walking. There's, there weren't any bucks following them, but it's getting there. The bucks are starting to lay down. They're still pretty active with scrapes, but talking to a couple buddies of mine, there's still quite a bit of nighttime activity. Bucks are still moving hour or two after dark, and they're still moving before light in the morning. But a lot of the 2.5-year-old bucks are all over the map. They're moving in daylight really good now. But those 4-year-old plus are still aren't doing quite what I need them to do. But
I feel like there's going to be a light switch.
Yeah, this weather's supposed to be really good this week.
Yeah, lows in the mid-20s.
Yeah, that's what we need. I need to wake up and have a frost. You can write your name on the windshield. Yep. Then stuff's going to turn on.
They'll trigger them to.
Yep. They'll just be out later in the morning, especially the morning hunts. When it's that cold, early like this, the morning hunts, that's where it really shines, because they're just going to stay out till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, a lot more likely. So we'll see how that progresses. I love seeing it all, as they get more and more active. You can watch it all unfold, if you get to hunt a bunch of days in a row, and now with cameras, you can really start to see it heat up and the activity start to get better and better.
Speaking of which, I just got sent.
Hey, that's a decent one.
3 pictures of a buck. He's hitting a community scrape.
Yeah, he'd work. He's out past his ears.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the second time I've seen him, but not in a couple weeks. So, yeah, that's a That's a wicked community scrape. One of those ones that's like 8 inches down, and
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
it's been ever since they logged that, which was probably it was when I first started bow hunting, so 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And it's an old skid trail.
Yeah.
There's 2 skid trails, and it just this old hemlock, it just intersects right there, and
Yeah.
I found it postseason scouting. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to this," but
Yeah.
still not. I still haven't got a buck in daylight on it. Some does,
Yeah.
but it's all been nighttime.
It's a good spot to have a camera for inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Let you know what's around. Then you can kind of spread out from there, and find out where you can catch them in daylight. But knowing what's around,
There's some scrapes above it. That it's an old. It wasn't a clear cut. They left some seed trees, but it's relatively cleared.
Yeah.
So it's kind of thick. I mean, they bed right in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But they can go out. It's a pretty good size clear cut, so
Yeah.
they can go out whatever direction. But good place for a camera.
Oh, absolutely. Having an inventory of what's around, that's what I need sometimes is motivation.
Yeah.
There's a giant out there. It's a lot easier to get up at 4 every morning.
Yeah.
Drag your ass out there and do the long hike into the stand. It's worth it because you know what's there.
Especially one like that for me. Like
He's a beauty.
I haven't even
Absolutely.
killed a buck with a muzzleloader yet. I'd be tickled with him.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's gonna start getting fired up right now. It's gonna get good by the end of this week. I'm hoping it's going again.
Yeah. I'm gonna hunt Mass Saturday and New Hampshire Sunday. Kind of tough to pick the bow back up, but
Yeah.
I want to give some more effort down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I go back and forth. I'll hunt Mass right into Vermont rifle season and everything, and I'll come back to Vermont when we get snow. We get tracking snow, or on a Sunday.
Right.
But sometimes I need some scouting that I'll do. So Sundays, that's the one benefit of having a day where you can't hunt in Massachusetts on a Sunday. It's because then I don't feel guilty not taking the bow with me. Because whenever I go scouting during the season, I'm like, I got to bring the bow with me.
Yeah, you got to have an
if
arrow
you're gonna
knocked.
You never know if you're going to run into a buck, what's going to happen. Well, on Sunday, I don't have to worry about it. I can just put a stand on my back. I can put my climbing sticks on there, whatever I need. I can just go for a walk, nice and light, not banging the bow around. Like, I can't shoot anything anyways. So it's
I just
Sunday
hunt
is my-
Mass on Sundays. There's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that too. Yeah, you don't run into anybody.
Nope.
Yeah.
Killed my best bucks in Mass on Sundays.
But yeah, it seems like every Sunday I might need to do a little walk around and a little rescout and make sure I'm still in fresh sign.
See, I get Saturday, Sundays off, so I ain't scouting on Sunday.
Yeah,
I got to be somewhere.
Yeah,
I
you're
can
gonna go
hunt,
somewhere and hunt. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I hear you. And if it is a good day, I mean, if it's going to be 30 degrees all day Sunday and clear,
Yeah.
I'm going to be hunting Vermont. Or I'm going to go over to New Hampshire. I'll go to New York. I'll hunt somewhere. Yeah, absolutely. It all depends on how many tags I get filled. If I'm just trying to fill one more in Mass, then I may go down there and scout and try to find a giant to put that second one on. But it all depends on how I've been doing through the year. So.
A part of me wants to, because I got a couple other areas in different towns in Mass that I did some postseason scouting and I found some good sign, but with such limited time, I feel like I should just stay, kind of where I am, where my cameras are,
Yeah,
and just move them around. And I think Saturday I'm gonna do a little more scouting, and because where I am right now, I did see 2 other cell cams.
Yeah.
I know I got company, and that the big one that was on my camera, he gone.
Yeah.
Seemed like as soon as the season opened, he was still nighttime, but he's moved. And I know of a couple spots further in I found from tracking that some seclusion cover he might have gone to. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go snag that camera and I'm going to head in, hopefully further than anybody else wants to walk.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'll get in there and find more cameras.
Yeah, you never know. It's, a lot of people are hammering public ground more and more now, and
which is cool.
There's a lot more info available now, and with Onyx, that's a huge game changer.
Doesn't it seem
people can just get back in and find terrain features that
doesn't it seem like when that took off, you noticed people further in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. People were not as scared to get lost.
Yeah.
And then once people started realizing what terrain features to look for and how cover relates to that terrain, and there's so much information available at your fingertips now. I am seeing a lot more people on public ground than I ever did.
Yep.
Which is good.
It's good.
I'd rather see people hunting than
not
driving around in the truck trying to shoot them off the road. So.
And if people don't hunt, there's no voice for us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Stuff that like what's happening in Jersey will just happen everywhere.
Yeah. You just gotta learn to adapt and just see something the other guy didn't, and figure out a terrain feature and just figure out a little.
You just gotta Dan in fault them.
Yeah.
What's 99% of the people doing?
Yeah,
do the
absolutely.
opposite.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And that's the funnest part is killing a really good buck, a real respectable buck for me is something that's, Pope and Young or better, and if I can kill that on public land where anybody can walk in there and hunt that deer, that's a hell of an accomplishment for me. So,
yep.
Those deer are hard earned, and they are hunted hard. They are turned on, man. They will not put up with a mistake. So, if you can get it done on those, you can get it done anywhere in the country,
For sure.
Yeah, mass in the morning, we'll see. It's starting to get better and better. I just need it to get cold. We just need some good north wind. We need some good heavy frost.
It's coming this week.
Yeah, 20 degrees would be phenomenal. That would turn stuff on big time. So we'll see. But I got one in the bag, so the pressure's off. I got one good one.
Yep.
So now we'll start working on Massachusetts and Vermont, and we'll go from there. If I get bucks in those states, then I'll hop over to New Hampshire gun season, do some tracking over there, possibly Maine. I don't know. It all depends on how much my work clients start calling me. I've been trying to put off as much as I can in November so I could have most of November to hunt, but they're calling every 2 days.
Yeah.
So I work for myself, which is a benefit, but it's a curse also because they can call you whenever they want. When are you going to show back up? As soon as I shoot my second buck at Mass,
January.
You tell them that and they don't know what you're talking about. You're still hunting?
New Year's Day, I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start the new year off right by working. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, but you could do a little work and then once the snow flies somewhere.
That's the plan.
Bye-bye.
That's the plan. This is my favorite time to bow hunt right now. So if I could bow hunt until November 10th, 15th, something like that, then I can switch gears from the bow to tracking, and then I can just see the storms coming and I can just coordinate my work schedule around snow. So that works out pretty good. So I plan on bow hunting pretty hard up until November 15th, and then I really like to start tracking deer.
Yep.
Or if we don't get any snow and I'm still hunting Mass, I'll just really pick my days when we get good. There's the dogs, vicious killers. But yeah, if it's after November 15th, that those bucks really start cruising again, get to be Thanksgiving week or whatever, So
Yeah,
I'll just
15th, the old ones are.
Yeah, once you get around Thanksgiving week, that's when you can really find those big bucks moving at noon, 1 o'clock. Cruising from one hot doe to the other, or trying to find a one hot doe that's left. So it's all good all the way until January. I love it. So nothing like tracking those post-rut bucks anyhow. I like them to have all the
mass muzzle loader.
Yeah, have those bucks have all the, I want them to be kind of worn down by the time I'm going to get following them around. I can't keep up with them during the rut that easy, but You get them post rut in December, very end of November. It's,
they ain't gonna weigh up.
They're not going
whatever.
as far. Yeah, they're not going as far. So, it's coming. This is my favorite time of the year. So.
Yeah, tracking's just nonstop fun.
Yeah, it's the whole story.
I love it.
The story's unfolding in front of you all day long. See some antler marks in the snow. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
And even filming, like filming Timmy, it's not filming from a tree stand. You're still
absolutely
having fun on the track too.
Yeah.
And
you're not freezing.
Nope.
You're never cold.
Nope.
You stand still for 10 minutes, you might start getting cold. But
you got to wait.
Then it's time to move again.
You got to wait the half hour, but half the time, you build a fire anyways. And following someone like that,
Yep.
I get to learn from him.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hopefully we get to actually track one this year. Not last year, but the year before was we definitely tracked some deer, but
you were cutting around trying to figure out where that buck went, right?
We just stumbled onto him.
Yep.
No,
you got to be in it to win it, though. Doesn't matter.
No ifs, ands, or buts. We just 2 points connecting right there.
Yep.
But he luckily he looked down to his left into the hardwoods and went right there, and he made a hell of a shot at. We never paced it off, but I bet it was 100 yards with a peep. He was bounding away from him.
Yeah.
As he came down on his second bound, he shot and right into that femoral artery.
Yep.
Up through him, and
I saw in the snow there was a wicked blood trail. Yeah. I don't know
if that third shot was necessary, but
what a set of antlers.
He was still alive.
Yeah. I keep shooting until I know they're dead. That's for sure. You never know. Yeah. I
had like 40 seconds of video of that deer dying, but
yeah,
I cut that down because that's too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like even what I left in was too much, but
yeah,
whatever.
There's nothing like killing a big buck on the snow, though. Now that I got my new muzzleloader, hopefully I get to use that. Got the new Woodsman, so we'll get out and give that a try. I just got a picture of a really good buck in Vermont, and he's probably the heaviest buck I've ever got a picture of.
Yeah, the thing's a freaking tank.
He's in that 220 range, I would say. He's well over 2 anyhow. Real wide set of antlers, short tines, but he's just
old. It's an old looking rack.
Yeah, super old buck.
It's a rack of an old deer.
He's a really cool deer, and I've got a bunch of pictures of him going along this one swamp in a clear cut. He's gone through there 2 or 3 times a week, but all middle of the night. He's not laying down any sign. So that would be a good one to save my Vermont tag for and go in there and find him on snow and kill him. That's a big block of woods.
You're only going to need a half mile with him.
Yeah, he may not go far. You never know. He's a giant bodied deer. So that's it's going to be a fun fall. It's just starting, really. So.
What do you use for a rifle?
I got a Remington 700, 280 Remington.
I was going to say that Woodman has that crossbolt safety.
Yeah.
But was yours have a tang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A side lever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of flip with your thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that gun's served me well over the years. Every deer that I've shot, I've piled it or it's gone less than 20 yards. It's a good bullet.
Didn't go 20?
Yeah, didn't go 20.
Yep, well, that was a quick and dirty Jersey story.
Hey, man. Yeah, it was a fun story. It was a grind.
A hell of a buck. I'll post some pictures with this and on social media of it, but
it was a grind. I was sitting 10.5 to 11 hours a day. I was just it was either sitting all day in one stand, or I would hop out and go to a different stand for the afternoon. But I mean, I was hunting every minute that I could.
In the woods all day, anyway.
Yeah, in the woods. If I got out of the woods, it was like I cooked something to eat on my tailgate and hopped right back in. So, because deer were moving at all hours,
right.
we're seeing super erratic movement. But the weather was very erratic too. It would be raining 1 second, and then it would be hot, and then it would, the weather was up and down, so the deer were kind of doing everything,
And that's kind of the strategy, is bring cell cams with you and put them on historical sign you found in the past. And
Yeah.
Or do you spend like the first day scouting?
First day I'm scouting. I may do 1 or 2 hanging stands that I can hop into, and then I keep one real light portable setup in the truck for a hanging hunt.
Yep.
And that buck that I ended up killing, that was on a hanging hunt. I carried the stand in. Carried the stand in the dark and set up in the dark. And that was the first time that I'd been back to that saddle since the first day I was there. And the first day that I was there, I walked in the pouring rain. So I didn't leave any scent. And I just waited. I wasn't going to hunt that saddle until I had the right wind to do it, or it was the last day. And they just so happened to be one and the same. And worked out good. You know, that saddle stayed fresh the whole time. There was no one else in there. And hop in. Your first time in the tree is always your best. And, you know, he came through. You know, hell of a buck. So.
Yeah. Ain't no one passing that one up.
See if I can do it a couple more times in Mass. So.
Hope so. Do some more of these.
Absolutely.
But, all right. Good talking to you. And
yeah, man. It's getting
go
there.
Kill them.
Good luck the rest of the fall.
You too, bud. Hey, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure and come back and join us every other Monday with a brand new episode. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure and leave a review. And you can find me on YouTube at Northeast Hunt and Film. Once again, thanks for listening.